Swing and a miss. Struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of baseball.
And the Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh man, and B just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah! Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Party on Broad. Please be sure to smash that like and subscribe button here at the Painted Lines. Today, our Sixers draft continues, and we are looking at a really interesting prospect. He is Miles McBride out of West Virginia. And to help me break it down, he is Tiago, the man, the myth, the legend. Follow him on Twitter at TScabia. Tiago, what's good, brother?
It's good, man. Deuce McBride. This guy's one of the most fun guys in the NBA draft to study. He's wild, man. He's one of those guys that I think that if he's around pick 28, the Sixers will be having their eyes very close on him to decide if they want to take him or not.
Yeah, in terms of like prospects, I think this is one that checks off a lot of boxes. Yeah. And that's what we're going to be talking about: his strengths, weaknesses, and fit with the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's start the tape. Tiago, tell us a little bit about Miles Deuce McBride.
Miles Deuce McBride. Deuce. You got Bones, you got Deuce. This could be a good draft for the Sixers. I mean, he's a point guard / combo guard out of West Virginia. He has put his name out into the NBA draft, but he has not retained an agent, so there is a chance that he may go back into college basketball. However, if we had the NBA Combine this week, and if you kind of did a little bit of research and kind of watched him a little bit at the Combine, a lot of positive feedback from this kid, man, to the point where teams have him already probably up in that first round area. And if he's in that first round area, it's going to be tough for him to return back to college basketball. So, again, a lot of positive things coming out of the Combine around his shooting, his physical traits, his defense. And if you watch him at West Virginia, those are the things that really kind of stood out on film. So the fact that he's able to kind of put what we saw in college in a more competitive NBA environment is exciting. And again, what we talk about with the Sixers, ball handling, ability to break defenses down off the dribble, play defense, and really attack the rim and shoot. He can bring a little bit of all those things from the bench and even perhaps do some spot-up starting minutes for the Sixers. So, yep.
All right, let's talk about strengths for Deuce McBride. I mean, clearly you're watching the tape here. He's a guy that can, score on all three levels. He's kind of a secondary shot creator a little bit. He's got a pretty decent handle there. Tiago, what are some of his strengths?
So from a point guard perspective, really what I see as a strength for him is the handle and the ability to maneuver. And you see it right there, and split a double team and kind of throw a little pass to his rolling guy. The ability to maneuver the defense in tight spaces is something that it really stands out in this film. He's not a guy who is fazed by ball pressure. And he leverages that tight, low dribble to really, create space. And he's got a really fluid release so that, off the pull-up, very fluid. So he's not fazed by being contested, by size, by strength. He's a guy who can really maneuver those tight spots and really attack closeouts and create, offensive opportunity off those looks. So I think from a point guard perspective, he's really kind of guy who can break defenses down and use his handle to do so. Perhaps not at a, starter level, but a guy who can really come in off the bench and give you some of those kind of looks. Where I really see as a strength for him as well is how he impacted offensively at West Virginia. So he's a guy, if you look at his usage rate, is in the low 20s, which is not very high for like a point guard / combo guard. And you watch him on tape, moves very well off the ball. Again, there's not a lot of structure in West Virginia's half-court offense. It's a little bit confusing, but he's a guy who's very comfortable, maneuvering off the ball and kind of figuring out his spots on the court as an off guard and shooting off the catch. So you start thinking about that in the NBA. For instance, a guy like Danny Green. Again, we're not comparing him to Danny Green, but a guy who understands how and where to be on the court to get his shot off, specifically off the catch. And I see a potential for him to develop that. So you start talking about Philadelphia, playing with the starters. You may not have the ball in your hands 95 to 100% of the time. You may have to learn how to develop as an off-ball weapon. I think he's got some of those traits in his game that can be worked on and really brought out at the NBA level through better spacing, better structure, just better players and better passes around them. So I think that part is exciting. I think that defensively, man, like he's a guy, he reminds me a lot of like TJ McConnell from an energy perspective. So, always in your face, hounding defenders. He's got a long wingspan, had over 3% steal percentage, which is really high in college basketball. Quick hands, quick reflex. I think a guy's going to generate a lot of steals. And that's something that Sixers, they want in their system. We see it with Matisse, we see it with Ben, we see a couple of the guys. They won defensive events, and they won activity. And he's definitely going to bring that defensively for Philadelphia or wherever he drafts him.
Yeah, like you talk about, getting buckets in transition. He gets it done. If you want, an ISO bucket, he can get that done. There's a lot that he does. Like I said, he checks off a lot of boxes offensively and defensively. When you start talking about weaknesses, yeah, he's only 6'2", but however, look at this dude. Like he's definitely, he's got a solid build, nearly 6'9" wingspan.
Yep.
6'9" wingspan. What are some of his weaknesses, Thiago?
Yeah, he's not like 6'2", 180 pounds. That would be a problem. He's a stockier build, a stronger build. So I think from that standpoint, it's okay. And the wingspan will help. I think defensively, for as much energy that he exerts on the ball as an impact defender, he tends to get a little bit, lost. More to do with just overly aggressiveness. So he roams around, tries to, figure it out, passing lanes to jump on. And he will get burned on that in the NBA at a very high level if he doesn't clean that up in his game. I think it's okay to gamble, but sometimes, with certain players on the court, it may not be the best alternative. And I just think, again, like as a on-the-ball playmaker, and that's something we talked about a lot with this college basketball prospect, it's shot selection. And really with him, a guy who shot over 40% from three, but had, I think, a sub 55% true shooting percentage. And you go back to, his 2-point field goal percentages are just not high. And it's a lot with contested mid-range stuff, not within the flow of the offense. Getting very early in half court, it just kind of jacks up a wild contested mid-range shot. So you hope that through coaching, you're able to kind of weed out some of that element because he's an aggressive player. Like when he's on the ball, he feels like he can take any shot, and you want that confidence in the player. But you want it to come in the flow of the offense, especially if you're not going to be the main shot maker at the next level. So hopefully through coaching we harness some of that. But I think it will be okay, especially if it develops that element off the ball that we talked about earlier in the podcast.
Yeah, we have Teddy saying point guard Matisse Thybulle. I love that. We have Benjamin saying Sixers talk about Isaiah Todd at the Combine.
Yeah.
I don't think we've done Isaiah Todd yet, but we definitely we'll keep that in mind.
He's on the list, yep.
But let's talk about fit with Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, just watching tape, like we've said, he thrives in pull-up. He can play off ball. He can play as a secondary creator. Like, clearly a really good fit with Ben Simmons, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's got to come, though, at the expense of Ben Simmons, accepting the fact that he's not a point guard. And Doc Rivers utilizing Ben Simmons in a way that brings out, most of his traits as an off-ball player, not just put him in the corner and watching the offense. We talked about this a million times. I think that this guy, as a backup ball handler coming off the bench, perhaps splitting some time with Tyrese Maxey. I expect Tyrese Maxey to take a leap next year, so I expect him perhaps even be talked about as a starter if they go down that route and if he's not traded. So if that's the case, that may open up room on your bench for a guy to come in and give you some additional ball handling. But I mean, I'm really excited about, can he develop that element off the ball? I really think that's where he's going to make his name at the next level, as an off-ball guard with some playmaking. I think that, if he finds that rhythm in the NBA, he's going to find a fit in Philadelphia or a lot of other teams, man, because he does bring the energy defensively. He's an impact defender in terms of generating defensive events. And teams love that, man. They will salivate at that, especially now in today's NBA. You try to steal as many possessions as you can, and he's going to help you do that.
All right, so that is Deuce McBride. Definitely a guy all Sixers fans should keep their radar on as we move towards this NBA draft here. In like a month, I guess, from now. But anyway, Thiago, where can we find you, man? Anything you want to plug, man?
Now we're just continue to do these as we're going. We're up to 20 some, like you said, Chris. It's a lot of studying, but we learn a lot about these different players. And it's teams, man. Even if the good teams like the Sixers, they still figured out a way to extract value at the draft. And guys like Deuce McBride, man, they could make a difference down the line. So yeah, we'll definitely try to keep finding those guys as we go here.
Deuce and Bones. Deuce and Bones,
man.
That would be the ultimate, man. Ridiculous. Nashawn Highland just blew up the combine.
Oh, yeah.
He looks terrific. So anyway, that is my man Tiago. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at @tscabby. I am Dibes, Mr. Crockpot. If you guys love the Sixers, you love the NBA draft, please be sure to give this video a like. Thank you everybody for watching. For Tiago, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.
Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh, man. Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia!